Malta lifts vaccine certificate rules for bars, gyms and cinemas. The editor, Victor Vella, for IT-TORCA and L'Orizzonte has been suspended, and Joseph Muscat recalls the famous moment Roberta METSOLA snubbed his handshake. All this and more on today's episode of Lovin Daily. Good evening, Malta Gozo. Welcome to yet another episode of Lovin Daily. My name is Baldacchino and I am joined today by Tim Diacono. It's been another eventful weekend of the news. We have a new X Factor Malta winner. Tim, were you following?
It was, yes.
Amazing. You want to kick things off?
Well done, Ryan Healy, for the victory. Well deserved, I must say. Our initial story of the day, good news for people who have yet to receive the COVID-19 booster, because Malta has lifted vaccine certificate rules for gyms, pools, spas, cinemas and bars just in time for Valentine's Day. The new rules have come to force as of today, following a prior mandate which didn't last long, which forced Maltese people to present a vaccine certificate before entering these establishments. Also, passengers coming to Malta from dark red countries are now only obliged to quarantine for 10 days as opposed to 14, still quite a lot but less. And people coming to Malta who are from a dark red country and don't have a residence in Malta yet but are on a work permit can quarantine at their place of residence rather than at a quarantine hotel. Eyes are now on the 21st of February. The current plan is for Malta to cut quarantine for vaccinated primary contacts of positive cases from 7 to 5 days, so slowly but surely edging closer to full normality.
Yeah. Prime Minister Roberta has himself insisted that he would like to remove all COVID-19 related restrictions, but that health authorities are advising him against such a course of action. So it'll be interesting to see how things develop in the coming days and weeks. Moving on to our second story of the day. The editor for IT-TORCA and L'Orizzonte, Victor Vella, has been suspended. General Workers Union-owned Union Print suspended Vella late in January, pending disciplinary proceedings. This story was revealed by Newsbook on Sunday evening. Other media outlets have revealed that this was allegedly done to punish Vella for articles which painted the government in a bad light, including stories on migration and other social issues. Now, neither Vella or Union Print have commented, but a spokesperson for the union told Malta Today that it is defending Vella and that it is not true that he was suspended due to his editorial line. People have, of course, reacted to the news. Charles Autopardi, a former PL mayor who is now contesting on the Nationalist Party ticket, condemned the suspension. He said, "I've always respected him, and it is a joke that he now has to pass through some vigilance and discipline board and get suspended as an editor. It's a sad day for journalism and for people committed to finding a balance. He has been working there for 27 years and getting the paper's message across, only to be discarded and trashed like that." Writers' lobby group PEN Malta wrote to the General Workers Union to demand that Vella be reinstated and all charges against him dropped. President for PEN Malta, Emmanuel Mifsud, released a statement and said, "I express our disgust at your decision to investigate editor Victor Vella on trivial charges that expose your leadership to ridicule. Mr. Vella is being disciplined for doing his job as a journalist and editor of giving a voice to those who need to be heard by people in power. Mr. Vella is not afraid to show where politics has left workers in precarious jobs, immigrants, the marginalized, and those living in extreme poverty." And finally, IGM, the Institute for Maltese Journalists, said that while the General Workers Union has publicly said that suspension is tied to administrative issues, from the facts known to IGM, it appears the real reason is linked to editorial decisions taken by Vella, which did not go down well with the company's management. The IGM expresses solidarity with Vella and condemns the disproportionate action taken against him by Union Print.
Yeah, we're talking about someone who had lost their job and is now facing significant uncertainty, all because of things he wrote. And this by a workers' union, no less. And no matter what you think about IT-TORCA or L'Orizzonte or any of their publications, there is no doubt that this has a chilling effect. And when you not just, especially on the people who work at that particular media house, but even in general to society, right? It's a sign, like Charles Attoparty said, don't, like if you criticize the establishment, this is what can happen. And when you see these things, it's no wonder that there's a certain culture of fear when it comes to criticizing power. Moving on, Joseph Muscat, the former Prime Minister, has confirmed he will offer Roberta Metsola his hand if they ever cross paths again. So this came out from my recent interview with the former Prime Minister, and I asked him about that famous moment when he offered Metsola his hand during a meeting at Castile, and she refused it, and that photo obviously was snapped, and it became part of our history. And he said, look, she decided not to accept it, and I won't dwell on that. I offer my hand to everyone, even my greatest rivals or fiercest rivals. If we meet again, I will still give her my hand, and then it's up to her to decide whether to shake it or not. This photo took on a bit of a life of its own after Metsola became President of the European Parliament. I asked Joseph Muscat about this. He said, I'm glad that a Maltese person got it, even if one of my fiercest critics, but he made it quite clear that he did not celebrate her historic appointment.
Yep, this iconic moment, for those of you who don't remember, was captured by local photographer Ben Borch-Cardona and quickly became a viral internet meme when it first was published. This was shortly before Joseph Muscat resigned in disgrace in 2019 and resurrected again, as you said, when Roberta Metsola became European Parliament President. Don't forget, you can check out Tim's full interview with Joseph Muscat on Lovin Malta's social media platforms right now. There are 2 parts, so be sure to give them a look. Moving from one viral photo to a viral sensation that has triggered a lot of Maltese people. GAIA Kauki has called out online bullying after adventurous skiing snaps have turned heads. Junior Eurovision starlet GAIA Kauki slammed a wave of online comments after she posted some photos she took while on a ski trip at Piemonte, Italy. The format of these photos is following a recent trend where people take photos only in beachwear in freezing conditions. In this case, GAIA Kauki chose to wear a 2-piece swimsuit, and this seemed to irk people to no end. Quote, how can you call someone block a silch, block of ice in English, or say she's in her habitat if you've never met her, GAIA asked publicly after reactions to her snaps kept coming in. So wearing a bikini is something noteworthy. She continued, diva, drama queen, best 4 likes. Everything I do for myself, and sometimes I share these things online. This is again a quote from GAIA Kauki. She's opened up about facing hateful comments for quite a while now. Let's not forget that the 19-year-old was first launched into the public sphere when she won the Junior Eurovision Song Contest back in 2013, bringing home the title for Malta. She said, I've dealt with dumb comments from people from when I was much younger. I want to say that they don't affect me anymore, but I would be lying. Let's not, maybe I'm able to continue my life, but someone else wouldn't be strong enough to not keep thinking about it. Online bullying is no joke. I mean, look, the fact that people still take time out of their day to comment on, something that she's, well within her right to do, it's upsetting to say the least. And when we have waves of people jumping on bandwagons when celebrating body positivity in all its forms, it seems like, this is all thrown out of the window all of a sudden. So,
Yeah, it's also a bit the price of fame, unfortunately, that there's always going to be, the moment you become super popular, there's always going to be a section of people who will take umbrage at that and would just want to call you out on really stupid things. So my advice to GAIA would be just take it in your stride and just keep doing what you're doing, because you're clearly you're leaving a mark and making a success out of your music career. And finally, 2 local hikers with an affinity for exploring Malta's natural environment have questioned why a 16th century chapel in WARDJA hasn't been restored. Hiker Pierre Farrugia spoke to Lovin Malta about how he explored recently explored with Annotta and WARDJA, a beautiful valley with running water along the street and beautiful scenery within the valley of Annotta. And then he came across this chapel. Malta has many chapels dotted around the island. This particular one is said to have been commissioned by the noble Garcia Monpalau in the early 16th century, initially dedicated to the Nativity of Our Lady, but then rebuilt after being left unattended. And he published photos, and from the photos it's quite clear that this chapel has seen better days. All of its interior items have been taken out. And he asked, how could it be that this hasn't been restored? And I mean, I think he has an extremely valid point. It's literally part of our history, and just being left there to rot, left in complete abandon. It's not like we don't talk of a shortage of cranes or construction machinery to restore it, and I don't see why it hasn't been done yet.
Yep. It appears that this chapel is privately owned as part of a property which is close by, namely Palazzo Gherscia. It's also said to have been abandoned for a few years now. I mean, restoration of such a historic building, be it private or publicly owned, should be a priority in my opinion. But we're curious to hear from you guys. Do you think such a building should be restored? Do you have any similar stories? In case you do, you can get in touch with the lead journalist on this story. Her name is Sasha, and you can get in touch with her via email on sasha@lovinmalta.com. That brings us to the end of today's episode of Lovin Daily. This has been Matt and Tim, and have an evening full of lovin'.